Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another LCS report. I'm Rob, he's Nick, and we start off asking the same awesome question. Nick, how you doing today?
I'm great. Playoffs. I mean, we've
Playoffs?
been we've been laboring. We've been really beating a dead horse in the best of ones thing, and now we don't have to make that point anymore because we have best of five series, the true goat format. I'm really excited. But yeah, I'm excited to get into playoffs. I'm excited we didn't have to wait very long. It's Thursday. We already got some games on the horizon. So how are you, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, playoffs, and here I'll show everybody. We've got, as of today, recording of this episode, we have 100 Thieves versus Cloud9. Gonna be an awesome series. Probably the one I'm looking forward to maybe the most in a while. This is going to be a fun one, without a doubt. I'm going to probably prop myself up on my couch, throw on this series, and play Pokemon. So it sounds like a great day, honestly. I can't say I'm going to be complaining much about it, but
Sounds
um,
good.
but you know how it goes. What this episode is going to be is we're going to run through our predictions. Now, here's how the schedule is going to go moving forward. Thursdays, we're going to give our predictions based on where we're at now. So we'll run through each of the series, and then we'll actually predict like how we think each team is going to finish, and then we'll continue that into finals every single week. After that, um, we'll do Tuesday episodes where we'll recap everything and kind of go through what our thoughts were, how the games turned out, how right or wrong we were. You saw Nick and I finished around 50%. I have a feeling playoffs are going to be tricky, real tricky.
Hmm.
And what I'm going to say now is I'm not, but it's going to be bonus points, mental bonus points for us if we can like correctly guess the games. But we'll get an actual point for if we guess, which one, which team won. So it's not going to be actual points. It's just going to be us keeping track mentally. So yay us. We continue on though. We'll start with. I think we're gonna save that 100 Thieves Cloud9 matchup. Let's start with the FlyQuest Team Liquid Honda because I think this one will be a little bit shorter, maybe. Nick, would you like to start us off on your thoughts on this series, and then we'll give our predictions after we both talked about kind of where we see these teams.
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, you have like a clearly superior team, like in terms of the entire split.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but Team Liquid did beat FlyQuest, if I recall, yeah, in the last week, the last time they faced,
Mm-hmm.
and looked good doing it. This wasn't like a FlyQuest throw. Like Team Liquid played a clinically efficient game, one of those Team Liquid A games that come along, every weekend or so. So I think that it's going to. I think we're going to see teams with similar ceilings. Honestly, like their top form, I think is similar. I think the difference maker will be a matter of who can stay at that level the most consistently.
Okay. I like that. I will say that if I remember correctly, and I'm trying to look this up real quickly, but um, if I remember correctly, FlyQuest lost because they let Smolder through, which
That
was a
was a big
big,
part of it.
stupid mistake. The thing is, you're not going to do that in an entire 5 game series, right?
No,
So I will say that I think FlyQuest have consistently been obviously the better team. I don't think that should surprise anybody. I'm sorry for pointing out a very obvious fact, but they are the better team. But I think it's mostly just because I also believe that Inspired is playing better around his team than Umti is right now. As you guys know, I
yeah,
value the jungle position quite a bit, and I do believe that FlyQuest are a really strong team because of that fact, and I think because everybody knows what their role is and where to be, essentially. With Team Liquid, it always feels like somebody's out of position. It feels like, again, they're putting too much pressure on the wrong players. I don't feel like you talked about the sandwich a couple weeks ago. I don't feel like the bread pieces, as solid as they are, they're good artisan bread, but I feel like they're not moldy yet, but they're starting to get a little hard. You know what I mean? Uh, and I feel like the fresh ingredients are the wrong types of ingredients for this sandwich. And the sauce is umpty. And I feel like it's the wrong sauce. So I feel like you got two nice pieces of bread. Then I feel like you've got meatballs and deli salami, right? With a Caesar dressing sauce, right?
Oh
All of
God,
them are individually not too bad. But when they come together, they taste
that's oh
terribly. Yeah, it's a horrible sandwich, right?
yeah.
Now it can work sometimes, like if you've been drinking maybe and you're drunk and you just want food, then it may work. But like when you're not, it doesn't really work. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna
So
give
basically, what you're saying is don't watch Team Liquid games sober, is what you're advising.
well either that or maybe Team
I'm
Liquid should
kidding. I'm
play
kidding.
drunk. Or
We're
well, I
not.
guess I shouldn't suggest that because maybe they're not
We're not.
all 21. But you know what I mean.
We are
Uh,
not advising. We are not advising this. But I do get what you're saying. I also want to amend my previous point. I was thinking about their game against Dignitas, where they looked, or not against Dignitas. I was thinking about a different game. I can't think of what it was. The game against FlyQuest, they were actually losing.
yeah.
And you're right. It was Smolder, Aurelion, Soul Scaling. This was not a clean game from them. I apologize.
No, it's
I want
okay.
to correct my earlier point earlier.
I
And
wasn't
that's
gonna
kind
call
of
you out for
that's.
it.
I appreciate it, but you should. And like you said, it's the Smolder really saved their ass, and Aurelion Soul Scales infinitely too.
And that's like the
So
thing is
yeah, I
like they're
mean,
so easily bannable, right? Like
yeah.
I feel like you target AD carry and I think so. Like I think the thing is, I used to do this a lot more. I used to, I think, do a lot more in depth, like picks and bans. Sadly, I don't think it's as widely. I don't think people enjoy it as much anymore. At least the conversation around it. But like for me, we all know Smolder's getting nerfed, but he's not yet. So I think he's insta ban from FlyQuest. I think you ban the Renekton as well because he is still strong on this patch. And then
Mm,
I think you ban either Ziggs or Acel, whichever one you feel less confident against Team Liquid. And I think that you run with those three bans and just see what happens, right? Like, I know
mm,
Karma strong, blah, blah, blah. But, like, I'm just telling you right now, like, I think that this Team Liquid team might be pretty easy to ban. So, because of that, I'm going to give my official prediction right now is a 3-1 FlyQuest victory. I do think Team Liquid find a game. I think they may even win the first or second game, right? I don't think they come back if they're 0-2. But I think that they could win that first game. I think it would give FlyQuest enough information to figure out what they need to do, right? Side selection, all that kind of stuff. And then I think that they will take away the power picks that Team Liquid maybe have been saving up. The only way I
mm.
see FlyQuest losing this series, truthfully, is if Umpty has magically found a way to mesh really well with the entirety of the top side.
Yeah.
And that they have like a really strong game plan for how they're going to keep in Bwipo and Inspired and Jensen kind of in check and make Masu beat them, right? That sounds easy when I'm saying it, but I can tell you that it's definitely not. So that's
Hmm.
my first prediction. That would then, well, we'll see depending on this next game where Team Liquid would play. But I already have that. But Nick, what is your official prediction? I'm putting it down. It's no longer in pencil. It is in pen. Who you picking?
Yeah. So well, I mean, I wanted to before I give my actual prediction, kind of
Yep.
follow up on your point because I think it leads into my prediction with the. I do think Renekton's a pivotal pick for Team Liquid
Yep.
right now, and I was happy to see them sort of go towards that a little bit here because it's like a champion with the semblance of an early game, right?
Yep.
And we've talked about this about how we want to see Team Liquid more active in the early game. That is not what we saw in Week 6, for better or for worse. I think we're kind of seeing the same game plan,
Mm-hmm.
and I agree with you that with banning some scaling picks plus the fact that I think like if Team Liquid just play for scaling, I don't think they have it's the TSM like old TSM problem with you
Yep.
just play for scaling, but they had the superior players in every role, so it worked. I don't think that's the case for Fly TL. I think TL when they're firing on all cylinders can put it together. I'm with you. They take one game. It's 3-1 FlyQuest
Okay.
because I think Team Liquid can play as well as FlyQuest can. We've actually seen it. Are they going to do that more than 1 out of 4 games? I'm not convinced.
Yeah. No, me neither. Me neither. And I don't think we'll
Yeah,
waste any more time on this one just because I think there are a few other
pretty straightforward.
yeah, bigger matchups, especially this next one, which is again happening the day of recording. 100 Thieves, Cloud9. God, am I excited for this freaking series, man. This is
Oh
going to
yeah,
be so much more fun, I think, than people are realizing, people are willing to give credit to. I think that this has the potential to go down as an all-time type of series in my mind. I'm not trying to hype it up too much, but I do think that like these are two very different teams. Um, they are, I think, teams that most people would consider to be, if they're not the best, obviously, because I think FlyQuest was, um, they are very close to and 2A for me right now. And I know that record wise, you may be saying, Rob, you're a fool. And I would say, no, you are a fool. Both teams went 1-1 against each other during the season. The last matchup they had was in week 4, where 100 Thieves started, I think, their ascension even more. They beat Cloud9 in that first week, or well, technically last week before the break, right? And they continued their losing streak. This is a team that um, I think that there's a chance that 100 Thieves can outplay Cloud9. I can't believe I'm saying that. And what I mean by that is I think Quid and Sniper can really make plays. I think River can get very much ahead, can find ways to put Blabber on his heels. I think Chaos at times, while Cloud9 can play well into it, I think that specifically if you are able to push Blabber to make a mistake, right? Then I think that that's where the whole Crabber meme even came from, right? Is because when the pressure is put solely on Blabber, there are times where he will make a mistake like any human does. And so I think that there's a real shot that this team could win. That being said, I think the playoffs are where Cloud9 is going to thrive most. If I'm being completely honest with you, I think that their ability and understanding as to how to play in these best of series, right, is going to be important. I think that they were seemingly starting to figure it out here over the last 2 weeks, and I know that their Super Week wasn't pretty, but they still found ways to win. And that's what they weren't doing before, is those games were
right.
not pretty, but they were finding ways to lose the game. Well, actually just continuing their losing ways. They didn't find ways to win, right? I still think that this Cloud9 team has issues. I still think Berserker, for the large majority of the split, struggled more than we would have thought.
Yeah.
But
And he had a terrible week 6.
he
That
did.
was like his worst week of LCS play I think I've ever like. I think that was the worst weekend of his career was last weekend.
I
Genuinely.
think he'd probably agree with you. So that's kind of where I'm at with these guys. Where are you at with both of these teams? And then we'll head into predictions.
Yeah, I mean, this was such an interesting matchup. There's so much to sink our teeth into because you have these two junglers who are like pretty top of the class, obviously, but in totally different ways. River is very cerebral. He's edging out little advantages, maybe giving something up, but downloading information. Whereas Blabber, on Blabber's best days, he's up 20 CS in 5 minutes and 2 kills, right?
Yep.
Like, and then the game's just over. So the way that these junglers are both very pivotal parts of their team, the way that they accomplish those things is so different. And you mentioned like, yeah, C9 found ways to win. A lot of the ways to win last weekend were just JoJo carry. Like that Shopify
Yeah.
game, like he 1v9'd that Shopify game with all of his Nico play. And that being said, if there's one guy in the league I feel like can really stand up to him on an individual level, it's Quid right now.
Yeah.
I mean, shout out to I'm wearing my Vagar t-shirt here. So shout out
Yes.
to Quid. I've loved seeing I love one of my favorite picks, and I think that with 100 Thieves playing Vagar Shaco, maybe they have some more spice than we expect in the playoffs, which I think is a big factor. But the way these teams have won games, right, is so different. Like I think you look at the second time they met up, and it's a great microcosm of the issues where Cloud9 had this lead early on, and then you frittered it away, frittered it away, and then when shit got crazy past 40 minutes, big, split second calls, 100 Thieves wins the game in that chaos. So I
Yep.
think it's really a matter of if C9 gets a individual early advantage, especially on Blabber or JoJo, and can shut the door, I don't think 100 Thieves has a chance. The longer these games go, the more time 100 Thieves has time to digest and download information. Even if they're losing long games, that's a benefit to them. And C9 just wants to shut the door, but I don't think haven't really effectively won games as a team yet. It's always been, in my opinion, one guy kind of leading the charge, or just Blabber JoJo 1-2 punch, but that's kind of all we've really seen from them. And we have two guys across the field there who are as good or better than them as of this split.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really, really interesting. And that's before we even get into all the different things going on with the bot and the top lane. But I think mid and jungle is going to be, I mean, it's a very pivotal matchup almost always in playoffs, but this especially because I think the way these teams play, their styles, and also their rise to their 100 Thieves' rise to elite standing has most to do. No discredit to Sniper, most to do with Quid and River, I would say.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's going to be a really, really fun matchup because these teams come from very different places. Experiences on C9 side, I'd say firepower on paper individually is on C9 side, but League of Legends is a team game, and if we're talking drafts, I thought 100 Thieves had some of the best drafts in the league, and that's even before that they showed they have Vagar and Shaco and stuff they can pull out, and C9 has the worst drafts in the league in my opinion. So I that could obviously change in best of fives. Priorities change, mentality changes. You're able to learn from game to game and apply it right away, as opposed to applying it the next time you see this team a month later. So, but I think either way, as weird as I mean, it's we wouldn't say this at the beginning of this season, but C9 versus 100 Thieves will be close.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Yeah. I couldn't
It'll be close.
agree more. It is so close that I am picking a 3-2 in this series. And I'm actually going with Cloud9. I think that this is where they step up. I think 100 Thieves are the hot, young shot, new team coming in. I really genuinely think that a lot of people may end up picking 100 Thieves. I just think that if there's a team, I know you've talked about in the past with Team Liquid and like Core JJ and Impact, stepping up when the time came. I think if there's a team that's going to step up when the time comes for a best of 5 series, I think it's going to be Cloud9 and 100 Thieves. Let's not forget this as well. Most of the 100 Thieves players have never played in a high pressure playoff situation like this, right? It's really only River that's done that. And Ayla has a little bit as well. But for the most part, there's not that much experience. And I do think that matters more in a best of 5. Now, if they've been playing best of 3s, we always got to put this in there, that may be a little bit of a different story, but they haven't been. They've been playing best of 1s, right? And so, there's a lot of ups and downs that come in these series, right? In terms of your mental game and the mental fortitude that you need to have, right? Like if Sniper has 2 bad games in a row, even if 100 Thieves are 1-1, is he going to be able to recover, right? And get himself back into game 3, right? If Quid gets shut down for 2 straight games, can he find a way back in, right? Like Meech, right? If Meech is just getting the absolute shit beat out of him for 60 straight minutes, can he come back, right? If they're down 0-2, do they have the fortitude to find a way back into the series? I just don't know if it's going to be there. I think it's just a very different beast. That being said, the reason why I'm not picking them to get just swept or 3-1 is because I do think that they're a good team. And I think that they found their style, and I think that they have figured out a way to play. And I think River will drag them across, limping, dead body or not, to at least one game. And then I think they find one more where Cloud9 just kind of throws and gives them an opportunity to get back in. So that's where I'm at with this. Nick, what about you?
Yeah, I'm in a similar position. I mean, I really, really, I'm going to be watching the jungle matchup more closely than anything because I sing Rivers' praises very highly
Mm-hmm.
on this show and pretty much everywhere. But Blabber, for a very different style and a more selfish style, is very cerebral in his
Hmm.
own way. He's he's always focused on tracking the jungler, getting tempo above. I wonder if Blabber, in the way that River adapts throughout a game really well, I wonder if Blabber can adapt throughout a series. Because
Yeah.
we've seen in the past these Golden Guardians teams, not that they weren't good, they were great, but they got declawed a little bit in best of fives when Rivers tricks when they're more recent. Oh, I forgot he could do that. I haven't played him since week 3. Oh, he just did that to me 30 minutes ago. I'm not going to let that shit happen again. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think that there's some aspects to that because Rivers' strengths do come from unpredictability, and you have to acknowledge the other side of that coin. Um, that being said, I'm with you. I think that 100 Thieves has exceeded expectations for sure. But I think they are also for sure a better team than we expected. Are they good enough to beat Cloud9 in the best of 5? They are not.
Okay.
3-2.
Wow.
C9. I think that, like I said, I think that there's enough strengths for, like, I think it's like you said, I think that 100 Thieves has the capability of taking a game. I think C9 has the capability of giving away a game. That's for sure. So I'd be more surprised if C9 won this than I would be surprised if
Yes.
100 Thieves won. I think 100 Thieves 3-2 is the second most likely outcome, because I do think if C9 wins this, they're going to settle in and get confident and roll through playoffs pretty well. But I don't think this is going to be an easy task for them. I think they're going to feel the pressure. I mean, we've seen guys like Vulcan, who's previously like he's been very much a heel in the league and very much like just putting his head down and working. He's like, we're not playing well. I'm not playing well. I'm not really going to talk smack. I believe he said that in an interview he did with Doug Zerto's Carver Fisher.
Hmm.
Great feature there, and really kind of talk. I think it really gave good examples into what things are like over at C9 right now. Like they know they're good players, but that's not becoming enough right now. There's clearly a disconnect, and I think that this series is going to be, if they're going to get knocked down, this is going to be where it happens, right? I
Yes.
think if they settle in here against 100 Thieves, I think that they beat whoever. I think they beat. I know we're going ahead here, but I'd feel much more confident about them going into FlyQuest next week if they won this game, even if FlyQuest are a better team than 100 Thieves, just because of the nature of C9's regular season. And 100 Thieves is great at destabilizing teams, and their drafts are better. So that's what I mean. It's going to be really close, but I do think ultimately C9 will be the team to take it.
You know what's funny is my second most likely outcome is that 100 Thieves just completely blitzes them
Oh,
and
really? Okay.
is a 3-0. Yeah. Cuz I
Oh,
could see
shit.
Cloud9 just like, well, I could just see
That'd
him
be crazy.
cracking, right? Like I mean, this is I've been watching I don't know if you've had a chance. I've watched Dynasty, the Apple TV series on the New England Patriots, right? And one of the things I've
Mm.
noticed about newer, younger teams is they don't care about being underdogs. Like everybody likes to talk about, oh, the underdog this, the underdog that. Like they don't know what they don't know. I think it's such a wise and also just at the same time like silly saying, because it's like, well, obviously they don't know what they don't know. They haven't done it. But at the same time, like because they don't have that kind of pressure, because they don't have that mindset. Like this 100 Thieves team, I again I talked to um God, why I am totally 100% blanking. Give me 2 seconds here. I talked to Sniper. God, wow, brain was just totally off there for a second. I talked to Sniper, and like they did not have these expectations. Their hopes were to just make playoffs and see what happens. Now,
Yeah.
right, like they're theoretically going to be favored in a series. Sometimes that would put pressure on people. Sometimes it would. I know it sounds like I am contradicting myself. I'm not. I still believe that the pressure may get to them, but I'm saying that like if it doesn't, I can also see a 3-0 happening. That doesn't completely
I see.
surprise me, especially because I think Sniper and Quid have been unbelievable. And I think that the bot lane can, stabilize well enough against Berserker, who's having his worst split as an LCS pro. Um,
Yeah, and Berserker and Vulcan aren't playing lane dominant, which is
no.
where Meech and Ayla are the weakest. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
think in team fights, you could argue Meech has recently been the better team fighting AD carry. If there's no action in that bot lane, I say potentially advantage Meech Ayla there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that's what I'm trying to say is I just think that like I think the 3-0 maybe
That'd be
even a 3-1
crazy.
could happen. But I think that it's like if Cloud9 wins a game, I'm saying one game, then I think it's a 3-2 Cloud9 victory. That's it. They only have to win one. After that, I think it's the
Interesting.
Cloud9 series. Yeah, I just think it's over.
Okay.
So we'll move on though, because luckily this means that we both have the same predictions moving into lower bracket, which is TL versus Dignitas and 100 Thieves versus NRG. We'll start with, again, I think the lesser series. Sorry, TL. Specifically, Dig versus Team Liquid. Dignitas come in. I think we were surprised we put them as fourth in our power rankings. I promise we don't like share much before these recordings. Like most of our conversations nowadays are on these recordings. We used to have plenty before this that were not, but this is a different story. Um, you know, Team Liquid also, we're getting lucky here. They went 1-1 against Dignitas, which is great. Dignitas did come out on top, actually. They were the spoilers to a perfect 3-0 weekend for Team Liquid. Here's why. They didn't let Smolder go over to Team Liquid. And guys, like, I'm not trying to discount the skill of Jan or Team Liquid as a whole. But I do think that that pick may have been enough to push them into playoffs. Like, I'm very serious about that. They may have won one of the other games. I don't think they win both games. I think that they're in a tiebreaker at a minimum. And there's even a chance that Shopify get in a tiebreaker against Team Liquid. This was the scenario, Nick, that I was talking about last week. I just don't think this TL team has the firepower. Dignitas, on the other hand, have been very consistent, right? We have, which is weird to say about a Dignitas team, but like they have generally, I think, played pretty well. Like they have found the ability to play through Tomo. I know that Smolder has also been the major pick for them as well. So I think that that's going to contribute to this series. I think Smolder is 100% going to be pick banned. I think he's going to be pick banned through most of the playoffs. But like, I think specifically this matchup, when we see it, I believe it's going to be on Saturday, I want to say. I can check that here in a second. Actually, I'll just do it right now. I have it up already. That matchup will be on Sunday. Okay, so it'll be on Sunday. The NRG game versus whoever they play, we are predicting that it's going to be 100 Thieves, will be on Saturday. Sorry, continuing on here. This Dignitas team, I think, just doesn't have the ups and downs that Team Liquid has. And I feel like during the downs for Team Liquid, Dignitas will be able to take advantage of that. I believe that their only true advantage is going to be the fact that they play together as a team better than Team Liquid. The individual skill, I don't think is even close. I think Team Liquid are a much more skilled team, but they just can't seem to find a way to put it all together. And I think ultimately the pressure on Dignitas is not even close to the same pressure that it is for Team Liquid. And I think that could end up getting to them. Nick, what are you thinking before we head into these predictions?
So, like, I have so many thoughts about this matchup because, like, Team Liquid's been a better and worse team than Dignitas. Like you said, they've been less consistent, and their ceiling is higher, but their floor is lower.
Yep.
And I'm glad you brought up the Smolder point because I think that we won't see Smolder in this series, like you said. But I think if we look at these two teams who have been big Smolder teams and we look at the nature of them utilizing these picks, it actually tells a greater story about this matchup, which is that Team Liquid have used Smolder as a crutch to get through the early game. Mm-hmm. I feel like that and we saw that with the Smolder Acel Infinite double Dragon scaling, right? Like that's the Team Liquid dream. If I'm Dignitas in this, actually, you know what? I'm gonna wait for that point. Dig, on the other hand, has oftentimes used Smolder as a late game insurance because their late game shot calling has been a mess. It's not about getting through the game. In fact, Tomo and Isles, and if you look at these Smolder games, they're active. Tomo and Isles got 2v2 kills with the Smolder They got they got jungle attention early on. Like not every game. There's been games where they just had scaling Smolder, but overall, the Smolder games on Dig were a lot more active in the early game. The lane it just shows the way that these teams play. So Smolder's off the table, but I think looking at how each of these teams utilized that pick, you're going to see. I think that in lane right now, Team Liquid, I think their bot lane's been good in lane, but I think like Tomo and Isles have been extremely strong in lane, stronger than every other aspect of the game, and that's been like a really big exceeding of expectations individually. Um, and I think that you kind of see like what the sort of the different styles of this team, right? It's like you have Team Liquid who wants to get to the late game and just is praying to get there. And you have Dig who like, if we get to the late game, hopefully we don't throw a Baron. Like, but their early game and mid game are better,
Classic.
I think.
Yeah.
And so if I'm Dig here, I ban Smolder.
Yep.
Unless TL ban it, because they might feel like they have to ban it against Tomo.
Well, if they
right?
have first pick, they may
I'm
just
looking
take
at
it. But
I'm looking at Smolder, Aurelion Sol, Udyr. Not because
yeah.
Impact can't play other stuff, but he's played Udyr. It's been a stabilizer for them. He can do so much wave control in the top lane and stymie the game.
Yep.
If I'm Dig, I ban those 3 picks and I flip the script. I trust that my bot lane can handle themselves 2v2 against Team Liquid because they have, and I play the Rich plan. We go the long con. We finally play around Rich
Wow.
for the playoffs because we take Impact off Udyr. We destabilize the top side of the map. Don't go after mid lane. It's going to be tempting because APA has been slumping. But for all of his lack of coordination, has done a great job babysitting APA. Not in the way of like he's ganking for him or counter ganking, but he's always hanging around because frankly he's had to do a lot of it this split. And so I think you go after top lane. You put Impact on a pick where he's not going to be as individually stable. Like whereas Udyr, they can just leave him there and he'll be fine.
Yeah.
And you go there. You let your bot lane handle itself in 2v2, and you go there. You go and you force Impact to play the 2v2 because I think if we're talking about purely synergy with solo laners, Exu has been the superior jungler to in that area. And regardless of whose fault that is. I'm not saying it's because is bad or anything. It's just that synergy-wise, the top side of the maps look better for me.
Sure.
I think that's actually it's gonna and these are decisions that can be made. They can make. I'm really excited because I think that I'm frustrated because I don't know if Dig can win, but I see a very clear path to them being able to win if they do these things. But it's Dignitas, so they fucking won't. Right? Is like it's so clear and makes so much sense that it's not going to happen.
Okay. So
I don't know. I don't know. I want it to happen. I think it can happen. Hypothetically. I just
well, then what's your official prediction? I'm putting you down. What are you picking? You're going first this time. He's thinking.
This sounds like, based on everything I've said, it sounds like I'm going 3-2 in one direction, but I have very little faith in Dignitas to stay the course.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna go 3-1 TL. Wow. And I think it'll be like one of the games gets reversed. I think Dig wins one of those games, is winning the second one, throws it away somewhere. It's gonna be a close looking 3-1. We're not gonna feel confident about Team Liquid. It's gonna be like, there's gonna be, it's gonna be like an awkward orgy. It's like there's gonna be a lot of people there, a lot of stuff's gonna go on. Everyone's gonna go home feeling bad, regardless of the result. It's not gonna be good.
That was not the analogy I was expecting. I like it.
Again, I mean, unless hey, maybe Dig has a surprise strategy for the orgy and they want to stick to the fucking plan. I think they can win this game. I really do. I think they've been the better team throughout, like in terms of gameplay throughout the spring.
Sure.
Very few times you can say that about Dig over TL. Like it wouldn't be an upset. I think if Dig stays the course, it's not an upset to say that they're the favorite. But it'd be so Dignitas to not do that.
It would.
So I'm gonna have. And as much as I like the team, no disrespect, I'm not unimpressed by the coaching staff, but I've never been like, wow, who's really killing it lately? Dig's coaches. Like, I don't know. Like, no disrespect. I can't even think of who it is right now.
It's Mabry and somebody else. I can't remember. Let me.
Do they still have Enatron? Is that still a thing?
It's Enatron and Mabry. Yep.
So like, I don't think they're bad coaches. Players I've spoken to like working with them, but I do think Spawn is going to come in. He is a guy who prepares a lot. Like when it comes to best of five series, he is going to like I know he's doing his homework. I'm not saying that the Dig coaches aren't, but again, like for all the credit I'm giving Dig, of like this could all work. This is all assuming Team Liquid is the same team they were in the spring split. I don't know if that's going to be the case. They could be better.
We're
I
gonna
hope they're better. They should be better, but I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough series to call, man, because we have it's this is the hardest series of the week for me to call. Uh,
Oh, that's tough. I think the
because
Cloud9
yeah,
100 Thieves one was the toughest for me, but I will
well, I think because that
say,
one's close, but this one has so much variance. Like it could be anything because we don't know what these teams are.
I
Like,
guess
and
that's
it's hard to
fair.
say if they do. I don't know, but yeah, I'm gonna say TL3-1 because it's the boring prediction. It's what I don't want to see. That's what I expect Dignitas to give me on a weekend.
Well,
Um,
then you're gonna be happy with my prediction. I'm picking Dignitas 3-2.
yes,
And
heart versus brain.
yeah, I think that there's something that you're right, because there's just something that tells me on the inside that TL, like, as bad as it can sound, I think they need to lose this. Like, they need to figure out what's wrong with them before they head into summer, right? And if that's replacing somebody, or making wholesale changes with their drafting strategies, or just their in-game strategies, whatever it needs to be, a loss, a playoff loss to Dignitas, I think would finally push Steve over the edge to really put the pressure on them to make some changes, because it's felt like Team Liquid had put together these awesome rosters to do all these things, and they've not done it all for a very long time now, basically since Double F left, right?
Yeah,
Um,
they haven't won a title since then.
yeah, and so it's just like, I think that makes a lot of sense to me. And like you said, I mean, I could totally see TL just winning this based on the fact that they're just a better, like, they're a more talented team. Um, but I'm picking Dig 3-2 because that's what my gut's telling me to. So this is my gut game. All right, we head into another awesome matchup: 100 Thieves and NRG. After this matchup, we will continue our predictions, but we will not go through why. We'll just quickly make them because A, we're running out of time, and B, because they are truly as hypothetical as they get at that point, right? This one
Yeah,
is not even that there's one team that's still in it for sure. These are just completely our opinions at this point. So, um, we will head into the 100 Thieves NRG game. Nick, you give your thoughts on this one first. Where are you at with this?
yeah. Well, we were talking about I want to start kind of where your last point was with the 100th C9 series, which is about sort of expectations and pressure and how I do think I'm with you on like I think 100 Thieves is playing with house money at this point. People had the eighth or seventh. That was the biggest question. Will they be ahead or behind Immortals? And now we're talking about whether they're going to beat the initial favorite, the super team. That's the conversation. Like they yeah. I think we're talking pressure and expectations coming into the series today. 100 Thieves really feels good. I
Yeah,
don't know if that's enough for them to beat Cloud9. However, against NRG, if there's one team that has, I think, more burden of expectations than C9, it's NRG. C9's a new team.
sure.
And while most people expected C9 to just cruise, some people, like me, knew that they were going to have some issues. And NRG, on the other hand, we're even talking. This is our reigning champion team, and they've not been. They had a horrible week 6. Yes, Dokla was very sick, um, but what does that spell for? Heading into this series, they're one game away from not being able to defend their title. They have the loser of arguably the more competitive first round match in the upper bracket. And really, whereas Cloud9 is like, we see how this works individually and the team's not coming together. NRG's is concerning because I felt like at their best, they're more than the sum of their parts, but the parts still had to be good. And frankly, the solo laners have just not been where they were. When NRG was good, it was Dokla and Palafox reaching these new heights. They have not been those players this season. They just haven't.
Yeah,
And that's really concerning
that's a
to
nice way
me
to put it.
because I mean, then you see how it affects the rest of the team. You have contracts, FBI, and Huhi taking big coin flips because they don't
Hmm.
feel like their solo lanes are in a position to be reliable. I don't know if that's the conversation going on, but that's how it looks like when they're playing. Um, so I think the burden. I mean, in 100 Thieves. Oh, we lost to Cloud9 in 5 games. I mean, we really put on a good show. I think that they are coming into the series even after the loss feeling way better than NRG does. Even if Dokla is feeling well, like non-sick Dokla in spring is still worse than Dokla last year.
Yeah.
And that could definitely change. There's also been like some times where they've been experimenting and things have been weird, like the Vayne top, and I'm glad they've been willing to try those things. But this is not like we're gonna have to see a big shift from NRG if they want to defend their title. No sixth seed has ever won the LCS before.
That would be
That being
insane.
said, we counted them out last year too, right? We didn't expect for them to be where they were, so there's a chance that they clutch it out and turn it on. But right now, um, I mean, I think that NRG feels not great about whoever they're facing off this. But I mean, 100 Thieves is going to come in with zero pressure. I mean, I think only way they come out rattled is if C9 like just put them in the ground 3-0,
Yeah.
and I don't think that's going to happen. So I think 100 Thieves is like, oh, we're feeling fine. Whereas NRG has to defend their title. That's high stakes, and they couldn't have ended the season in a worse way. They didn't play well, and they also had external issues. Like when someone gets sick, like you don't know like how much that like can affect it. Like it just adds this whole like, oh well, we have all these in-game problems to fix, and then now you're all of a sudden thinking, well, I hope we show up on our best that day, because there's so many factors. These are veteran players. They've made deep runs before. Last summer they did it and defied a lot of expectations. No one had them getting that far. So um, they definitely have more experience, but I also think they have more pressure, more burden to perform as well.
Yeah, and I think that that's where it's gonna be. I think the major difference for me is not only that, but like I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I think Sniper and Quid are just better right now. I think regardless of
I mean,
expectations,
I
I
think
think
that's
regardless of
that's
anything
fair.
else, I just think the top side of the map is better, and I think
Yeah,
that the bot lane for 100 Thieves has learned how to play with minimal resources to such a point that I don't think it matters if FBI and who he get ahead, regardless of if they do what they've been doing, which is throwing at random points. Um, I even could see 100 Thieves honestly just having River in the bot lane all game and saying, "All right, Palafox, all right, Dokla, beat us." Right? Like this, and I'm making this sound less close than what my actual prediction is going to be, but to not belabor the point too much, because I feel like I've talked about 100 Thieves pretty much, and I think NRG, they have their issues without a doubt, and the only way I'm going to gain confidence for sure in them is if they win this series. Like truly, like that's it. Like I know it sounds like such a stupid point, but like I think that there are potentially massive changes in play for NRG if they do not play well this series. Like I'm talking about for the rest of the year confidence. I'm not just talking about this playoffs. I'm talking about
mm,
if NRG can find a way to be the team that just plays really well in playoffs, great. And it sucks because like this is the team that beat freaking G2 in a series, right? Like we're not talking about like or not in a series, sorry, but
it's
like
not the same
yeah,
team.
but it's not they're not
It's
playing
not
that
the same
way.
team
No,
though.
they're not. And that's what
Is
I mean. It just sucks because it's like they should be better. Who he has always made his teams better.
That's
Always.
true. That's true.
But they have not played better this year. And I actually think their bot lane has been stronger. And
Yep.
maybe that's been the issue. I don't know, but like I'm going to tell you right now, I am picking 100 Thieves to win this series, but out of respect for what I think that they can do, I actually think they're going to push 100 Thieves to the brink. I think it's going to be a 3-2 game. I think that they are going to give 100 Thieves as much experience as you could get in an entire playoff series possible. Like, I think that these games are
For
going to be
sure.
tough. I think that they are going to fight tooth and nail because I do think that they understand. I mean, Dokla and Palafox specifically and Contracts, they have been in the position where they have lost their jobs, right? Like where they haven't performed and they have thus lost their jobs. This is
Yeah.
that kind of a series for them. I think for all three of those players in particular, where one or all three of them could lose their jobs over the break. There are a lot of good players out there now with only 8 teams, a lot of available talent. And if I know the way NRG Andy runs things, he does not like losing. He actually really hates losing. He has always hated losing. And he has cut teams in different esports and players in different esports for a lot less egregious stuff than what this NRG team is putting together right now. And that's, maybe it's because they did fire all those coaches, right? Like, so maybe it's on him to a certain degree. I don't really know, but like this NRG 2024 year to me comes down to this very series. And sadly, I just don't think that they're going to have the firepower. 100 Thieves like to have fun, man. They are going to play a lot less stress. Like, they're a lot more stress-free, but they're still going to be that innate, like, oh my goodness, like, they are putting the pressure on us as much as we're, putting it on them, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick 100 Thieves 3-2, moving on to face Dignitas in mine. For the next one, what are your predictions for the series? And then we'll, like I said, run through our ultimate predictions all the way through finals here after that.
Yeah. So, it's funny. I feel like with the 100 DC9 series, we spoke a lot about strategy, jungle matchups, nature of how they play late games and all that, and draft. And this has been so much more about burden of expectations, pressure, momentum.
Yep.
And I do think those things play a huge factor, especially lower bracket when the stakes are higher and teams have seen a little bit. It's a very different. Players will tell you it's a very different atmosphere, even though it's both playoffs best of 5 series. So I do think that's going to be even if 100 Thieves lose again, unless they get absolutely clobbered by Cloud9, I think they still come in feeling good. If they give Cloud9 a good fight and they like I said 3-2 and they lose, oh man, we're sick. Whatever, that's fine. See, now we're going to come back. They're supposed to be the favorites. We did fine, I really think that, especially with a coach like Golden Glue, he's so good at bouncing back from stuff like that because he's experienced so much worse in his career than like a heartbreaking playoff loss. He's like, I'm used to death threats when I miss playoffs, so whatever, right?
It's true.
So I think that like we talked about the mentality of these two teams, and we also talked about it's also like the other factor I think that's big is with that pressure you're talking about that added pressure of like, this the implications of this series could be greater than this playoff run. And the other aspect of it is just looking on paper, like 100 Thieves, I think, has in my opinion, a very clear path to not a clear path to victory, but a very clear game plan that I'd like to see them play. I actually think like you let Michaneo lose gracefully, and if FBI and Hui want to go too far and punch themselves in the face, that's kind of on them. I play entirely around top lane here. I think Quid's going to obviously handle Palafox on his own, but usually Quid he's not like going to solo kill you, especially on the picks he's playing. He could, but like it's very much like he gets his value in team fights. I want to see him play around Sniper because if there's one guy who's going to feel like he has to play something to prove, it's Dokla. Dokla is a very, very confidence-driven player. When he's feeling good, he plays better. He's very like for better or for worse. I do think his emotions factor into his gameplay. And I think that he came off a week where the team did not look good. And he's going to feel like he has something to prove, not just because the team didn't look good, because he was sick. And he's like, no, I need to show her. If I'm feeling better, I really need to show people how much better I am. Playing with something to prove is never a good idea in the playoffs. No. And this is a player who really is based on, he really needs to feel good about the way he plays. He hasn't been playing that well. I would say go. If I'm River, I go give the keys to the game to Sniper and let an 18-year-old kid dismantle this former champion. That's hit him while he's weak.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
This is, and it's not even about that. My prediction is that really based on the fact that that's my game plan for 100 Thieves, and my game plan for Energy is, I don't know, man, just play better. Like, I don't, that's it. Like, I think that, like, we've seen Palafox and Dokla play better than this. NRG spot lane's been good, but then, like, I don't know, they make one big mistake and they erase their advantage. Like, just play better. I don't have a better strat. I think that 100 Thieves has a clear path to victory in their current form. NRG needs at least one of their solo laners to play more like they played in that run last summer.
Yeah.
Like 100 Thieves, the team that we know can win this series. NRG, the team that we know does not win this series. To win, they need to do something different. They need to have somebody step up a little more. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be enough either. I think that 100 Thieves is playing too fast and loose. They're playing with house money, like I said, and that house money was not enough to beat Cloud9. It will be enough to beat NRG 3-2.
Okay. Wow. So we are almost lockstep in our predictions.
We have not talked about these predictions at all.
No, which
like
is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even tell you who I thought was going to win. Like before, like, hey,
I had no idea.
like,
That's kind of crazy. I mean, the only one we completely differed on was the Dig TL game.
Dig.
And
And
so
I want you to be right for that one. Like, I want Dig to win that. I just don't think they will. I hope they do. I
we
hope they
will
do.
find out. We will find out. So that leads us to, again, we're just going to give our predictions now from this point forward. Okay. So,
Easy, buddy.
um, the upper bracket finals are FlyQuest Cloud9. Nick, what are your predictions for the FlyQuest Cloud9 game?
This is so hard just because it's like, I'll feel differently depending on what C9 we see this weekend.
That's
But
exactly why
I
these
guess,
are just for fun. These ones are not
yeah,
going to be. Yeah.
I'm not gonna put much thought into it. I'm gonna say that FlyQuest wins.
Okay. What's your prediction for games? 3-1 or
3-2.
3-2? 3-2? Okay. I hate you and love you all at the same time because I did the same thing. Yet again, I just, yeah, I won't put much thought into it either, but I do think that FlyQuest have been consistent enough that they find a way to win that one. All right, so this one we can't agree on, so that's good news. I'll just tell you right now, I have 100 Thieves sweeping Dignitas, the only sweep of my entire playoffs. I have them winning 3-0, moving their way into the top 3 guaranteed. That shouldn't be too big of a surprise, I think, to anybody, but yeah, that's how that one goes. What do you have in the 100 Thieves TL series?
100 Thieves TL. I have. Well, wait. The 100 Thieves Dig or 100 Thieves TL? Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
had
Right,
100
because
Thieves Dig. You
yeah,
had
I'm
100
sorry.
Thieves TL.
I'm sorry.
I mean, you could give a
100
prediction
Thieves.
for what you think 100 Thieves Dig would
No,
be.
no, no,
Like,
no.
I'm sure you
No,
probably agree with
100
mine.
Thieves. I don't think that they'd sweep them. I also don't think they'll sweep Team Liquid. I think it'll be 3-2 100 Thieves
Wow.
over
Okay,
Team
so
Liquid.
a close game
I think
there.
I think they'll beat either TL or Dig, but I think actually, in a weird way, matchup wise, I would, even if Dig, like, I think Dig is an easier opponent for 100 Thieves to beat.
I think I'd pick 100 Thieves 3-1. I don't think I'm giving TL 2 games. Man, I must be like the biggest TL hater. I like am realizing that about
No,
myself,
no, no, no.
but it's just
I mean,
I
I've
just
been a big
can't stand
critic of
watching them
them.
right now. It bothers
Well,
me.
what it comes down to is that, which is funny because you're a vintage TSM fan. And this is like your favorite playstyle, right?
Yeah.
But I'm messing with you. I'm
No,
messing with
it's
you.
fair. It's fair.
No, I think it's just that TL like does play the early game, the late game better than Dig, and 100 Thieves often wins in the late game. They often win from downloading information and making good choices. So I think that, but I do think 100 Thieves beats either team. I do.
Okay.
I don't think any improvements that TL makes or any confidence will be enough to make them consistent enough to beat TL if 100 Thieves in the best of 5 series.
I like that. That's fair.
So,
That's very
but
fair.
I think it'll be close. I think 3-2.
All right, then we come to, so we already have FlyQuest and finals. Now we have technically what would normally be the finals weekend game, although it will really only be finals weekend for you and all the people in LA, which is fine.
Oh,
It is what it is. I'll let you go first on this one because I already have my predictions. I'll flash them maybe while you're talking so that people can believe me before you give yours. But what are you giving for 100 Thieves versus Cloud9?
I think at this point, Cloud9 will have been battle tested enough to have played 2 best of 5 series against 100 Thieves and FlyQuest. I think that in the rematch against 100 Thieves, they're going to win. I think it'll be 3-1. I think that
Wow.
100 Thieves just win. I think that at this point in the bracket, overall ceiling comes into play, and I think that's where 100 Thieves comes up a little short. I think third place for a team that was expected to finish 7th or 8th is fantastic. I don't think they get. I think anything past that is just wow. This is a spectacular run. This is. But I mean, hey, I also no one expected Golden Guardians to be in the spring finals either. So with river teams, the sky's the limit. But I think that I think if I had to put money on it, which I wouldn't be because gambling on the LCS sounds terrifying.
It can be. I can tell you from experience. I don't do it during playoffs. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I think C9 takes it 3-1. I think at that point, lose your finals. I think that they turn the Jets on and experience comes into play for a rematch against FlyQuest in the finals.
What I'm gonna say is, at this point, 100 Thieves will have played 13 games, almost as much as an entire season, in 2 weekends.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they will have figured out their style and what to do.
Mm.
And I'm actually going to predict them 3-2 winning the matchup and reversing what had happened in the last time. I think they find their way in that
That'd be
last game.
epic.
I just, there's just this is gut plus brain where it just makes sense to me that Cloud9 are a great team, obviously. But like you said, their drafts have been pretty mediocre, the split. Whereas I think 100 Thieves, like I think Golden Glue is just going to gobble up all this information. And I think he's going to come out with a plan to take down his former team and find their way into the finals against FlyQuest, only to lose 3-1. And FlyQuest finally gets their first championship. I just think there's just, I just think that this FlyQuest team will just kind of, I think inspired is the key, man. I love this player. I think he is so damn special that, you know, we talk about how there are not the Bjergsons of the world anymore in the LCS and stuff, or double lifts. I think if he sticks around for one more season, I think hopefully he stays here the rest of his career. And I would love to see him and like Blabber and Sniper and Quid and some other guys like really just become like the new NA staples. And I hope that teams will learn that they are, if Inspired is still available and your jungler is not Blabber or River, that you just go get Inspired. Like, there's just no excuse anymore. Like, truly. Like, unless if Inspired maybe just turned down a bunch of stuff because he didn't want to play last split. That was not the way it sounded to me. It sounded like he wanted to play, and teams just wouldn't give him a spot, which I think is foolish. I don't care if Immortals have, like, no money. If you're picking Armeo and Inspired is still available, then I think you are actively griefing and intentionally losing. This guy is that good, in my opinion. And not that he's going to solo carry this series, but I do think that he has such a great understanding of the game. And I think if there's somebody who can battle River in a game of mentals in a series like this, I think it's going to be him. So that's my only lengthy explanation. That's where I'm at right now. We'll have to see how things play out. But Nick, who do you have winning your finals of FlyQuest versus Cloud9?
I have the same prediction. I have 3-1. I think that ultimately what it comes down to is if FlyQuest win the winners finals, FlyQuest win sprint.
Yeah.
If FlyQuest goes to the loser bracket, I
still maybe pick them.
If FlyQuest goes to the losers bracket, I don't even know if they make finals.
Wow. Really? Okay. I could see that.
Like if they lose to Cloud9, it's like a bad loss. I could see them like stumbling and be like, oh no, it's summer all over again. And even last spring when they were like first place, they ended up third because their playoffs furthered away. Again, these are very gut predictions. We don't even know what these teams look like yet in playoffs. But I think if FlyQuest stay the course all the way, they 3-1 C9 in the finals like pretty easily. Like they settle in, they're fine. But regardless of who they face in the finals, but that'd be how I expect things to play out with FlyQuest winning. Again, if they lose the upper bracket final, the previous round, then I think it's pandemonium. I don't know what happens, but
I don't think anybody can.
Yeah. So based on what we're going with, that's yeah. I same as you, except that I have C9 being the team in the finals that loses 3-1 to eventual champion FlyQuest.
Well, you have heard it here first. We have given our full playoff predictions for now. Again, this will change after this week. We will do the same exercise, but this time I think we'll go a little deeper into why, because we will have data now on these teams playing more than best of ones.
Yeah.
This is yet again a reason why best of ones don't freaking matter, because I do think that everything does change once you get into series.
Yeah.
So we will have to see. I think coaching is going to come into a major play here, where it will, I think, ultimately be, and maybe this is why I ended up picking 100 Thieves and FlyQuest. I think ultimately those are the two best coaching staffs right now. Regardless of whatever you end up seeing on my voting ballot. But I think for playoffs, at least, those are my two teams that I like the most going into playoffs. So we'll have to see. I'm really interested. I'll be honest with you. I am just tickled that this is what we're going to be getting, if I'm being honest with you, because I think we're going to have some really fun matchups. And at the sake of Nick needing to hop off and myself needing to make sure that this gets up on time, I'll ask you, Nick, any bold predictions or last words before we head into playoffs officially here in a few hours?
Screw it. If C9 lose today to 100 Thieves, they lose to Energy also.
Oh boy. That's awesome. Okay.
But they're not going to lose today, so it's fine.
I don't think I can.
So it's fine.
I genuinely don't know what else I'm in. You know what? I'm going to say one thing. If Team Liquid find a way to beat FlyQuest, I think APA ends up going on to be playoffs MVP.
Ooh.
Boom. Bold prediction.
Okay.
Bold
so
prediction.
if TL upset, it's a mid lane gap APA over Jensen.
I'm talking about playoffs, bro. I think he is the key, and he figures it out. I don't know how.
I
don't
love
know
it.
What's going to happen? But I just a gut feeling. I think Azir is still automatically banned, by the way, at this point. So we'll have to see.
Yes, champion diversity kind of.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. But that's about it for us. I hope you like our bold predictions, both actual ones and then these final ones that we gave, because I think those are way spicier, and I kind of love it, to be honest with you. So
we'll see how. Well, yeah, good. We'll see. We'll see we'll see if either of those come true. I think that we're gonna get. That's not gonna happen, and that's not gonna happen. I think it's gonna, but we'll see. We'll see. It'll be a fun way to look back.
Oh, no doubt about it. But no, we appreciate all of you who are watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Let us know in the comment section who you think's ultimately going to come out on top. You're still a couple weeks away, so now's the best time for you to get out those predictions if you want to look like an oracle. But yeah, with that, guys, we'll catch you on the next one.